So welcome, Paul Bogan and Andrea Meyer with Wolfvision. The presentation is entitled Effective Hybrid Learning Solutions. We're so looking forward to hearing this. Wolfvision, we also have a giveaway from Wolfvision, another $50 Amazon gift card. Andrea and Paul, take it away.
All right.
Sure. Yes, hello, welcome, and thank you for joining our session about effective hybrid learning solutions today. My name is Andrea Meyer, and with me is my counterpart, Paul Bogan from Orange County. Just a little bit of history on who Wolfvision is. So Wolfvision is a European manufacturer of presentation technology. We mainly have products for the education, corporate, and legal market, but this session is obviously about the education market and hybrid learning. You all know us best for our high quality and easy to use visualizers. They have been around since the 70s. And as for myself, I've been around with Wolfvision for 25 years in the Bay Area. So I've hopefully worked with some of you folks here on the call today. And in those 25 years, I've seen a lot of advances in technology. And although we're known for document cameras, over the last few years, we've gotten a lot of inquiries to do more collaboration in our visualizers. And because of that, we did a lot of workshops and had a lot of discussions, and a new product line was born about 5 years ago, our sign-up solutions. So where do the sign-up solutions fit? So typically in higher education, they're most valuable when people find it difficult to deliver reliable and simple wireless presentation experiences for the faculty and students, or when you are concerned about developing an effective active learning or hybrid learning strategy. So for that, I want to show our, I want to share our slide. So this slide that you see here is actually something that you will be getting from LightWerks after this event. So you have our contact information. Rob is in the Northwest who can't be with us today, and then myself and Paul. And what we wanted to bring across on this slide is pretty much we wanted to give you examples from our customers, videos, case studies, and these case studies are really from around the world, and hopefully you can look at some of them more detailed or reach out to us with your specific use case. We first want to pull up a poll to kind of see who is our audience today, and David agreed that he would pull up the poll. So if we can ask that real quick. Actually, yeah, the second poll comes later, but may as well just answer that as well. So we want to know who's with us, and then later we also want to know, after we show our technology, we want to also know if you're currently looking or have the need to make a change in your technology today. So we're waiting for some votes.
So people are voting. We're at about 20% right now.
Perfect.
And just tell me what percentage I should show the results, because I'm guessing you cannot see them on your side.
No, I cannot. Just give it another 10 seconds and then we're good to go. Okay. Just to have a general feeling on who is joining today.
People had to lean forward there suddenly to grab their mouse. I think it caught people by surprise. We're at 35%. Shall I?
Sure.
Okay.
Maybe some people just don't want to say who they are.
They might be reticent. Yes. Well, now we're getting a few late entries here. People scrambling. All right.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and end the polling. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Do you want me
All
to
right.
share the results, or can you share the
I
results?
believe I'm sharing them now.
Excellent.
Yes. Yeah. Excellent. So good. So we have a good mix of AV, IT, and great. No instructors, but admins and directors. Perfect. Thank you very much for everybody answering those polls. So first, I'm going to cover what you know us for, the Visualizers document cameras. You can definitely see we have quite a smorgasbord available. The newest member I really want to point out is the VC8 UHD. That's our newest 4K camera that we just added this year. In general, there is pretty much two flavors. Either you go for ceiling camera or for desktop camera. I want to point out some use cases for the ceiling camera. The ceiling camera goes in where maybe you don't have any space on your lectern or on your table, or you have larger objects that need to be picked up, such as cadaver labs, wet labs, and so forth, or you would just want to have a free-form whiteboarding or some antique books. We have seen quite a few applications from customers around the world where they're showing antique maps and books and so forth. So, so that's where the ceiling cameras come in. And then the desktop cameras, depending on the footprint, on how you want to install it, and some features, we have a big array. But it's really about doing live demonstrations, and whether it's writing or zooming in on something, that's what it's about. It's like the visual learning for the students. The other big use case, especially now with COVID, we had it before, but now even more, is the tie-in with any web conferencing system, right? Teachers may be teaching from at home, or they may be teaching in the classroom, but no students or little students present, and then the other students are watching it at home. So you want to tie them in and also be able to show them the live experiments or math equations and so forth. So for that, all our cameras are UVC compatible, and we're tying in with all known video conferencing platforms. And I actually want to share a video now with an instructor from Santa Rosa Community College. So when COVID started, she had to give her lesson from at home, and she had one of our ceiling cameras and for an art class. And she was very happy we could help her really fast. And then she sent us the thank you video. So this is a result of real-time use application. So I'm going to play that video where she talks a little bit about her use case. The voice is a little bit low, so you have to pay attention, but here we go.
Looks like it's working beautifully. Thank you so much, Simon, for your time this afternoon. God, this is so exciting. So exciting to have this working now. This has been the biggest frustration this semester going online, is just that I just have not had the resolution that I need for art, for online instruction. So this is amazing. And yeah, once again, thanks to you and the other gentleman that helped me today. You've made a big difference. So I wish you good health during this time. Okay, take care. Bye.
Okay, so we heard she was struggling to find something with a good resolution where she can show that detail. And I imagine drawing on a piece of paper and showing those skills, you do need the best resolution. So now I'm giving it over to Paul. He will talk about our sign-up product line and some use cases.
Yeah, thanks, Andrea. And I love that video. We've watched it a number of times, of course, just in the prep and so on, but it just never gets old hearing a real user in the field having found such a valuable teaching tool in that i14 camera. So, we're obviously operating in sort of overview mode. We want you to leave the presentation here with a sense of what's Wolfvision up to. And hopefully be a few minutes at the end. We can drill deeper if you wish, but my job here for today is sort of to overview the Synapse product for you. And Synapse, I think Andrea mentioned at the beginning, is about 5 years old. It started with the big Synapse that you see on the right-hand side of this family, but today it's evolved into this family of 4 models, ranging from very simple to very sophisticated. And at the simple end, you've got a little unit that's just about wireless screen mirroring. And when you get to the big Synapse, or we can network together some as well for different applications. But instead of, we're not too concerned with nuts and bolts and hardware stuff today, but I wanted to leave you with 3 likely examples of where, honestly, probably the 3 most common applications that we're solving with Synapse. Number 1, we can talk about just right here from this picture. If you look at that little Synapse Pure, again, it's all about wireless screen mirroring. So BYOD, mirroring, casting, we got different buzzwords, but basically the idea that a user can walk into a space, take whatever they've brought to the room, their phone, their tablet, their laptop, and to be able to take their screen and present that wirelessly up onto the display in the room, which also would now be available as content to send out over a conferencing link to remote participants. So that simple wireless connectivity, there are different ways to do that. Our talking points are usually, number 1, no apps. Number 2, no dongles, no hardware that you actually have to connect to do that casting. And number 3, at least from an administrative standpoint, we don't get you into recurring costs to deploy when you get Synapse Pures deployed as a wireless solution. So that's the thing about Pures. We leverage the native mirroring protocols that live in our devices anyway. Any of these things that walk into the room pretty much now have casting technology built into them. In your Apple devices, it's going to be AirPlay. In your Windows devices, it's going to be Miracast. But if you got a Chrome browser, you can always do Chromecast from your Windows machine as well. Or if you have Chromebooks, Chromeboxes, and some Android devices, then you'll usually be talking Chromecast. So that's what's unique about us, is when things are configured correctly, and we've dealt with networking and so on, what we bring you is the ability for that user to walk in the room and not have to do anything other than launch whatever casting technology is native in their device. And then it will recognize the Synapse Pure as a receiving device for that protocol. So I hope that makes sense. That's your number 1 scenario, is just that simple. It goes anywhere you want to add that capability, whether it's a classroom, huddle space, courtrooms, anything that you've got, meeting rooms, it goes anywhere. That's what's fun about Pure. The number 2 scenario I want to cover is a typical hybrid meeting room or classroom. And this slide you see here is just sort of a concept for maybe what you have. Things have just kind of gotten more complicated with the type of content, the kind of sources that we have in the room, and the number of connections that we have that are going to relate to out in the cloud, whether it's a conferencing link, whether it's a stream to an overflow room, or a stream to a building across the campus. Maybe you got to record content and manage the transfer of those recordings and those files, either to network drives or out to LMS services like Panopto and so forth, LMS systems. So there's a lot going on there, and there are different ways that you might manage this array of sources and destinations. And certainly our friends at LightWerks are very good at helping you figure out what's the right solution for you. But we want to suggest a Synapse as a possible solution for this when a single appliance may be a fit for you. Synapse has evolved to the point where it is very sophisticated and brings a very simple user interface that allows you to manage the typical sources and destinations that are happening in a modern hybrid space. So here's kind of a simple down version of that. You got sources, you got destinations, some local, some remote, and you've got a really easy way for the user in that room to manage all of that stuff that you got to manage. So there's scenario number 2, a single appliance that's doing, in some ways, a lot of what would otherwise be a traditional workup of a rack full of separate hardware that you glue together with a custom control system. And we're not trying to fill anybody's shoes, but where your requirements can be solved by a single appliance, we'd love to have a conversation with you to figure out if that's a fit or not. So then number 3 is the active learning environment. And by that, we mean any space where you've got a master station and then multiple pods where students work together in groups, typically around a shared display. And we've got a really nice resume accumulated over the last couple of years. And the picture you see in this slide happens to be at Washington State, where they've got our active learning solution. And for us, what that means is it's a Synapse at the master, and then its little brother, we call Synapse Core, placed at each of the student pods. And then we just network those together. And you end up with basically a turnkey solution for allowing the instructor to share screen content around the room. So this picture happens to be at Washington State. The picture in my background is kind of small for you, if you can see it even, is at a similar room at Pima Community College over in Tucson. And the picture behind Andrea, that's London School of Business, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay. So lots of really cool, every one of these rooms is a little bit different than the next, but there's some really cool systems. And a lot of these are linked to those videos and case studies that you'll see in the slide you saw at the beginning. So what we've got is our friend Rob who can't be with us today, did an interview, just a short, about 5-minute interview with his contact at Washington State. So we wanted to run that video and let you just hear a few words directly from Matthew at Washington State about how he got into this system you see in front of you.
Yep. Before I start the video, just one quick explanation. So this here is kind of the GUI, the setup of that active learning space. So it can be handled from a touch screen or just by a simple mouse or keyboard. But the cool thing is you can also that GUI, you can also just open up on a web browser, so the teacher is able to move around in the class and then share from the main station to the students or back. So that's why we kind of chose this picture, so you can see. And it typically is kind of the layout of the room, so the teacher has a visual of where the screens of the pods from the students are in the room. So, but now back to that video, and off we go.
All right, well, thanks a lot for joining us, Matthew. Everybody, we have Matthew Vaughn, who is with the Washington State University. He's the IT manager for the campus. And we've asked him on to talk a little bit more about how he's implemented and solved this hybrid learning issue that everybody is having, how to create a space that's more flexible, one that instructors use and appreciate and like, and in particular, his application of the space for active learning requirements. So Matthew, thanks a bunch. What can you share with your experience with trying to get these issues solved?
Yeah, well, first, it's IT manager for the College of Education, but that's
okay.
I don't want people to think I'm campus-wide. So what we were facing was we had a standard traditional computer lab. It was 34 computers, desktop computers on desks that were old steel case desks. But we had this nice large space, and it was, in the past, it was a study space for students. It was instruction space. It did a lot of different functions, but the space had become antiquated because of the, nobody needed a desktop computer to sit down in front of anymore. All the students had their own laptops. We had more people coming in saying, are you okay if we move these monitors aside so we can set up our laptops, than we did actually using the computers. So we decided we needed to completely rethink the space, and we still wanted it to be a study space. We still needed it to be an instruction space. We also wanted to open it up to like groups to be able to use, like student groups, things like that, to be able to use. It seats about 40, so it's a good size room for that kind of stuff. we had a few instructors who specifically had asked us for at least one space in the College of Ed where they could do breakout groups to screens. They had seen some rooms in place where, steel case or somebody furniture where it was the octagonal or, the oddly shaped desk with like the screen at the end, and they wanted something like that where they could move in. On campus, they've been using Immersive Solstice. So that was a product we looked at. I had one faculty in particular who wanted us to take a look at Barco because he had used Barco at another university when he was doing a presentation and really liked it. And then we had purchased about a year before one sign app that we were using in another classroom. And so we decided to look at those. Those are the main three products we looked at. We decided to go with Wolfvision Sign App for two main reasons. One was the setup's just ridiculously simple. You plug it all in, you turn it all on, and you're done. Is effectively it, which is kind of nice, I have to say.
Right.
There's no other pieces of hardware we have to worry about. Like with Barco, you had the little dongles that you had to keep updated and patched and whatnot, and we don't have to worry about those pieces here. Or running into, oh wait, somebody's got an iPad. What happened to the Lightning adapter we had for the iPad for the Barco? We didn't have to worry about that stuff. And the performance that I saw in my testing over the Solstice was enough for me. You could sit down and do a video presentation on any of the sign apps off of any device, and it seemed to just work flawlessly, which that's what I was looking for. I was looking for not just something that you could do like a PowerPoint on or show your Word document. I wanted something that could actually stream video from anybody's computer in the classroom. That was really important to me because the one thing we were trying to get away from too is we're trying to get to a situation where when a student's doing a presentation, they can present from anywhere in the classroom, and they can present whatever they had to present. And often what I find is they're presenting multimedia content. It's not just a PowerPoint. It could be a PowerPoint, but it could also intermix a website that has a video in it or something like that. And the sign app handled all that really well.
That's great.
And the matrix still gave us that flexibility that the instructors wanted to be able to do small breakout groups. That if students are in there studying and they want to break out into small groups, they can break out around a monitor if they want to.
Great.
And the way we structured ours monitors are actually set up on rolling stands. So we can actually completely redesign the room if we want to. We just move it to a different area, plug it into the Ethernet, and we're good to go with the core there. So
it really sounds like flexibility was the key to it all for you, and something that just worked, right?
Yeah, and I think one of the fun things has been, since we've been using it, there have been more and more features added. And it's fun to me to see the faculty who have really embraced the space. As soon as those new features show up, they jump all over that stuff.
Right.
And it's funny too, we got different faculty who want different things, right? One of the faculty that uses the space and loves it is he teaches statistics. And one of his favorite things about it is the built-in viewer, because he can just tell his students, okay, connect here. They can see the small, tiny, details of what he's doing on their laptop.
Right.
As compared to trying to see it on a projector or on a large screen. They can see it more intimately, like looking right there.
Well, thank you so much, Matthew. This is exactly the kind of thing I think other educators and people who are trying to implement solutions like this want to hear. Matthew Vaughn, Washington State University, thanks so much.
No problem. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. You can kind of tell there, as we were trying to keep it kind of contained in just a few minutes, but you could tell there's plenty to talk about, and they really like that system. And that's been our experience everywhere I've been involved, is as folks who've adopted our active learning solution really, really like it. And it's this really simple user interface. And again, it's kind of a turnkey thing. You just drop a sign-app at the master, a sign-app core at each student pod, and you network them together, and real quickly you're up and running with sharing content around the room. So again, just quick recap, our 3 main applications. Number 1, just simple screen mirroring anywhere. Number 2 is a sign-app or sign-app core where it's a fit as a single appliance in the center of a hybrid or any typical classroom or meeting space. And then number 3 is that active learning. And we call that, when we network together our sign-app and sign-app cores, we call that product vSolution Matrix. That's just the name of what we call that. So there's your 3 most likely Wolfvision applications on the sign-app side of the house. So I think we can pretty much wrap up here. Am I missing anything, Andrea?
Yeah, I think one last thing to mention is our firmware upgrades. So they're free, and again, no recurring costs. One of the big firmware upgrades this year was Microsoft Teams and Zoom integration. So you can directly initiate a call from the sign up on those on all units except the entry pure on all of those. And if you're worried about management, you know, if you have them across the campus, we have a free management tool that lets you do all of it, that lets you do backups, lets you push out mass firmware updates, and so forth. So the management then really becomes an admin's job from their desk, and they don't have to physically go to all those locations if there's anything that needs attention. So yeah, so with that, we really want to thank LightWerks for putting on this day full of information, and we appreciate the partnership, and we just want to part with that slide. Look at it if you're interested. Look at some of our case studies and everything, and reach out to us if you have very specific questions for us. So does the audience have any questions?
Yes, they do. And thank you so much. That was so insightful. We've had the great pleasure of working on a few projects together, and it was fantastic to be able to see your product line again. We're a huge fan of the visualizers as well as your software. So thank you so much for that. Let's get to some Q&A. I see a question here. How many independent outputs, students and instructors, can the sign-up software manage simultaneously?
Good question. If we're talking about in the active learning layout, do you think that's the context for the question?
Could be. We may need further explanation. So if it
is, yeah. If the question is how many pods can that master manage in the room, we currently put the maximum at 40. So that's a very, we haven't done anything in the U.S. remotely that large. Typically our systems are running 10 or 12 pods per classroom, but up to 40 if hopefully that answers the question.
That's great, thank you. We have a question from Jesus Castillo. Do you have a workaround if the school is stopping the AirPlay protocols on their federated network?
Yes, we sure do. In fact, that's in higher ed. It's very common. Is the default way that someone walks in the room with their, let's say they've got an iPad. The default way that iPad can find the sign app or an Apple TV, anytime you're dealing in AirPlay, is a protocol that lives on the network called Bonjour. And it's basically, if you're network people, think of it as MDNS. But yes, most higher ed networks block that MDNS traffic. And so we've created a way locally in the room where the sign app, the pure in this case, I guess would be the simple example, has a Bluetooth beacon that provides that handshake that would otherwise happen over the network. So yes.